They say kindness is power, but somewhere along the line, being kind turned into being ignored. You give your time, your energy, your best self to people, yet when you need respect, all you get is silence. You're nice, you're friendly, and yet people don't respect you. Why does that happen? Why do the same people who smile back at you quietly stop taking you seriously? There's a hidden rule of human behavior that most people never talk about. It's simple but brutal. People don't respect what's easily available. The more you give without boundaries, the less value others attach to your presence. It's not about being cold or unkind, it's about the psychology of scarcity and respect. Studies in social dynamics show that when something or someone is always accessible, the brain subconsciously ranks it as less important. The same logic applies to relationships, friendships, and workplaces. The easier you are to reach, the less effort people invest in keeping you. In this video, you will learn the real reason why being overly friendly often backfires. You will understand how the line between kindness and weakness gets blurred and how to draw it again clearly, confidently, and without guilt. You will learn how to stay generous yet respected, how to be approachable yet not taken for granted. And by the end, you will see how small changes in how you speak, react, and give your time can completely transform how people treat you. Most people think respect comes from giving more, being more available, doing more favors, but the truth is the opposite. Respect begins when you stop offering yourself on discount. When you start valuing your own time, attention, and energy, others begin to value them too. That's the quiet secret of confident people. They don't chase approval, they create space for others to earn their presence. This video will walk you through the hidden psychology behind respect, the mistakes most friendly people make, and the steps you can take today to earn quiet authority without changing who you are. So stay till the end because understanding this could change not just how others treat you, but how you treat yourself. Welcome to Rise and Inspire Motivation, where we uncover the truth behind confidence, boundaries, and personal power. If you're ready to stop being overlooked and start being respected, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications. Because here, every week, we share insights that don't just motivate you, they transform the way you live and see yourself. Being too friendly sounds positive on the surface, but in reality, it often means you've become everyone's go to person, always available, always saying yes, never setting limits. You answer messages the moment they arrive, agree to favors even when you are tired, and smile through situations that quietly drain your energy. At first, people love you for it. They call you dependable, kind, generous. But slowly, that kindness begins to lose its power because it becomes something everyone expects instead of appreciates. Psychologists explain that when something is easily available, its perceived value drops. It is the same principle that applies to material things, but it also governs human behavior. When people know you will always say yes, they stop valuing your yes. When they know you will always be there, they stop feeling the need to show up for you. It is not malice, it's conditioning. The brain naturally ranks what is scarce as more important. So the more you offer yourself without limits, the less others recognize your worth. According to behavioral experts, overly nice behavior often comes from a deep need for approval. It is not that you want to be used, you simply want to be liked. You might think that constant friendliness builds strong relationships, but it often builds one sided ones instead. This pattern quietly tells others that your boundaries are flexible, your time is negotiable, and your presence is guaranteed. Over time, people stop asking themselves what you need because they assume you are always fine. In friendships, this shows up when you're always the one who plans, listens, and supports. Yet, when you need the same in return, everyone is suddenly busy. At work, it happens when you take on extra tasks, stay late, and help everyone else meet their deadlines, but your effort is labeled as routine, not exceptional. In relationships, it turns into emotional imbalance. You keep giving to maintain peace while the other person stops investing because they know you will always forgive, always understand, always stay. Being too friendly blurs the line between kindness and self erasure. It makes others comfortable while making you quietly invisible. Over time, this cycle changes how people see you and how you see yourself, not as equals in mutual respect, but as someone who must constantly give to be valued. At the root of being too friendly lies a quiet fear, the fear of rejection or conflict. Many people say yes not because they genuinely want to, but because they're afraid of disappointing others. It starts small, agreeing to stay late at work, helping a friend even when you're exhausted, laughing off something that hurt you just to keep the peace. Over time, this habit becomes automatic. You start thinking that saying no will make people angry, that setting a boundary will make you lose their approval. Psychologists call this the approval trap. You trade your comfort for acceptance, hoping that endless agreement will earn you love, but instead, it often teaches others that your needs come second, that your feelings are negotiable. The fear of rejection creates a pattern where silence feels safer than honesty and pleasing others feels easier than standing up for yourself. Another reason people fall into this cycle is low self worth or a lack of boundaries. When you do not fully believe in your own value, you try to earn it through service. You think, if I'm always there for everyone, they'll see my worth. But that's a fragile foundation for self respect. Constant availability doesn't build value, it drains it. Experts explain that when you tie your self esteem to how useful you are to others, you begin to overextend, saying yes to everything just to feel needed. This creates emotional exhaustion and resentment because deep down you're trying to fill an internal void with external validation. Boundaries, on the other hand, are what protect your energy and define your worth without needing anyone's approval. Without them, you lose your sense of where you end and others begin. Then there's the confusion between kindness and people pleasing. True kindness is a strength that comes from confidence and empathy, but people pleasing is fear disguised as goodness. It's when you help not because you want to, but because you're afraid of what will happen if you don't. You apologize when you've done nothing wrong, you over explain your decisions, and you carry the weight of keeping everyone happy. This kind of friendliness may look generous, but it quietly signals that you can be taken advantage of. When kindness turns into obligation, people stop seeing your gestures as thoughtful, they start seeing them as expected. And once something becomes expected, it stops being respected. When you're too friendly, people start taking you for granted without even realizing it. At first, they admire your helpful nature and reliability, but with time, what was once appreciated becomes expected. You help with tasks, listen to their problems, and show up whenever they call, yet your efforts slowly fade into the background, unnoticed and unacknowledged. It's not that people consciously decide to disrespect you, it's that human nature tends to undervalue what is always available. The constant giver becomes invisible. When you give without limits, others stop seeing the effort behind your actions. They just see the results and assume they'll always be there. Your time stops being respected because you've trained others to believe it's always open for them. Your boundaries lose weight because they're never enforced. You say yes to avoid conflict, but that yes costs you sleep, peace, and energy. People begin interrupting you mid conversation, expecting you to adjust your schedule, assuming you'll understand every time they disappoint you. Your voice, once calm and kind, starts to lose its impact because people no longer listen. They hear you, but they don't register your words. It's as if your kindness has made your opinions optional. And eventually that takes a toll. You start feeling drained emotionally, mentally, sometimes even physically. There's a quiet resentment that builds up when you keep giving and no one seems to notice. You start questioning whether your kindness even matters, but the truth is, it does. It's just being misused. You feel unseen because your generosity has become routine to others. The energy you give out freely is never returned in equal measure, leaving you empty and unheard. In real life, this pattern appears everywhere. At work, you help your coworkers finish their projects, yet when promotions come around, you're overlooked because everyone assumes you'll just keep helping. In friendships, you're the one who listens through every crisis, but when you're the one breaking down, the phone stays silent. In relationships, you keep forgiving, adjusting, and understanding, while the other person stops trying altogether. Over time, your warmth, the very thing that once made you special, becomes something people take for granted because they no longer see the effort, only the outcome. The first step to breaking the pattern of being too friendly is to recognize your own value. You are not a free resource, and your time, energy, and attention have worth. When you start seeing yourself as someone whose presence adds meaning, you naturally begin to act differently. You stop rushing to fix everything for everyone, and you start asking yourself whether the situation deserves your effort. This mindset shift changes how people respond to you. The more you value yourself, the more others learn to value you too. Respect doesn't come from being everywhere for everyone, it comes from knowing when to step back and protect your space. Setting boundaries is the next crucial step. Learning to say no or not now is not an act of cruelty, it's an act of self respect. Boundaries don't push people away, they teach them how to treat you. When you say yes to everything, your yes loses its meaning. But when you reserve it for the right things, it becomes powerful. Start small, take a pause before agreeing to something. Ask yourself if it aligns with your priorities or drains your energy. People might resist at first, especially if they're used to your constant availability, but with time they adjust. Boundaries draw the line between being kind and being controlled. Consistency makes these changes real. You can't set boundaries once and then return to old habits. When you start treating yourself with respect, others take notice, but they'll only take it seriously if you maintain it. Being consistent shows that you're no longer operating from guilt or fear. It proves that your kindness now comes with structure. Over time, consistency rewires how people see you, from the person who always gives in to the person whose time and energy are worth earning. It's also important to stay kind but not become a pushover. You can speak softly and still stand firm. You can help people without letting them walk over you. Real kindness has balance. It uplifts others without erasing you. Being firm doesn't make you harsh. It makes you trustworthy because people know where you stand. Finally, learn to limit your availability and expect reciprocity. Relationships should be a two-way exchange, not a one-sided effort. If someone constantly drains your time or attention without giving anything in return, it's time to reevaluate that connection. Communicate your needs clearly and calmly. You don't have to raise your voice or justify your boundaries. Clarity itself is power. When you express what you will and won't tolerate, you teach others how to respect both your kindness and your limits. When you first start setting boundaries, a flood of doubts often shows up in your mind. One of the most common is, won't they think I'm rude if I stop being so available? That fear comes from the idea that valuing yourself means rejecting others, but the truth is the opposite. It's not rude to value your time, your peace, or your energy. Being less available doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you balanced. You're not pushing people away, you're teaching them that your presence is something to be respected, not assumed. The people who truly care about you will understand. The ones who get upset were never comfortable with boundaries to begin with. Respecting yourself might make some people uncomfortable, but that discomfort isn't your responsibility to fix. Then there's another hesitation, but I like being friendly, and that's perfectly fine. Friendliness is not the problem. The problem starts when friendliness becomes an obligation instead of a choice. You can still be warm, supportive, and approachable, but without letting it cost you your dignity. True friendliness doesn't mean saying yes to everything, it means being genuine in your kindness while staying aware of your limits. You can offer help when it feels right, but you don't owe your energy to everyone who asks. There's strength in being kind and still firm. People actually respect those who balance both. Kindness without boundaries invites use, but kindness with confidence invites admiration. The hardest question often comes last: what if they leave me? This fear is deep because it connects to our need for belonging. You might think that by setting limits, you'll lose people you care about. But if someone walks away because you started valuing yourself, they were never with you for the right reasons. Real connections don't vanish when you draw healthy lines, they grow stronger. The wrong ones fade, and that's part of growth. It's painful, yes, but freeing. The people who remain will be those who see your worth, not your convenience. And in time, you'll notice that life becomes quieter but richer, filled with fewer people but deeper respect. Being too friendly without boundaries might seem harmless, but it slowly teaches the world to take you for granted. The more easily available you are, the less others recognize the effort behind your actions. Respect, in the end, isn't something you demand, it's something you inspire by showing how much you value yourself. When you treat your time, your energy, and your attention as precious, others start to do the same. So here's something to think about. What's one boundary you'll set this week? Maybe it's saying no to something that drains you. Maybe it's taking a break when you need it. Or maybe it's simply deciding that your peace matters more than constant approval. Small steps like these are where self respect begins. Drop your answer in the comments below and let's start a conversation about growth, confidence, and healthy boundaries. If this video spoke to you, make sure to like it, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe to Rise and Inspire Motivation for more powerful reminders every week. Remember, the moment you start respecting yourself, the world quietly follows.